the man that doesn't need an introduction, Dr. Tim O'Shea.
Okay, boys and girls, recess is over. Time for your lesson. So tell me. So tell me, how do you guys like your face masks?
Like this?
Right. Don't buy these lighters at Walmart. I think we can all realize that there are those today in this country who are intent on destroying the country. People who despise everything we stand for, who are determined to corrupt our ideals and erode our belief in basic human freedoms. The threats they present are real, and they continue to increase and grow stronger every single day. And despite all the attempts at trying to hide it and all the distractions that try to keep it hidden away, we must face the fact, my friends, that this right now is the darkest time in American history since Valley Forge. Worse than Pearl Harbor, worse even than 9/11, 100 times worse. So that's why this is so encouraging. Click. Jesus. Okay, so what I've been doing during the hoax, during the past 9 months, I've been creating and producing videos. This is my website. Take a picture of it. It's The Doctor Within. This is the home page. In the footer, it says videos. You click on videos and they all come up. So I knew there was something rotten in Denmark from the very beginning. I mean, didn't you? I mean, I practically predicted this thing. So I'm the guy who offered $5,000 reward for anyone who could show proof of his COVID diagnosis. How many of you saw that video? After tens of thousands of people saw that video, not one person has come forward. So what does that mean? That means all these thousands of people have been diagnosed with COVID. They believe what someone told them with no evidence. There's no evidence. Now, in this video, we discuss the 5 tests for COVID. There are only 5 tests for COVID, and here they are. Ready? Symptoms only, the PCR test, the antibody test, hospital kits, and the on-site test kits. Now, in this video, we go into detail with each one of these tests, and we show how unreliable, unscientific they are. Also, that CDC has proclaimed them undiagnostic and not of any value. This article came out on June 20th in the Washington Post. It was very interesting, proving that one of these kits, the hospital kits, the hospital test kits, the CDC discovered that after they had sent thousands of these test kits to the hospitals, that they had discovered that they were contaminated. What were they contaminated with? They were contaminated with the very virus that they were supposed to be screening. So thousands of people added to these fake numbers, the fake statistics that have kept the lockdown for so long. This is the next video, the germ theory of disease, the new state religion. Right. Now, this goes into detail discussing how media, under the direction of you-know-whom, has created a new nation of germaphobes, a germaphobe nation. And it's not based on science. Science left the building a long time ago. This is the same as religion. Religion is belief in that for which there is no evidence. And that's exactly what we have with the germ theory. Click. Oh, you already clicked. Cool, that's good. The other illusion, one of the other lies is that COVID is supposedly a brand new disease. It's a novel disease. That face masks actually protect anyone from infection, and that vaccines are going to cure you finally from this scourge, right? All of these are lies. None of them has any science behind them at all, but everybody believes all of them, and if you start telling them anything otherwise, then you're a moron. Doesn't it piss you off? Jesus Christ. Click. This is the next video. It's called Face Mask Exemptions, Face Mask Science. And I'm really thinking to myself, wow, is there any possibility that these might really work and do something? So I went into the peer-reviewed studies, hundreds of studies, and I discovered something that there is no science behind. I mean, how could there possibly be? You're blocking your respiration. How could that possibly be healthy? Okay, so it's the same thing. When you walk into Walmart or wherever, wearing your freaking face mask, you are communicating to those around you. You are saying, I am a member of your cult. Please accept me. Face masks are nothing more than religious totems. Just like altar boys have rosaries, Jews wear yarmulkes, religious totems, same thing. Okay. What are we certain that face masks do? Face masks definitely block respiration. Every cell in your body has metabolic requirements every second of your life. Two things. Take in oxygen as a nutrient, expel CO2, get it out of the body. You are interfering with that. How could that possibly be healthy? It's a detriment to every single system of your body. Yeah, right. So, in case you don't remember this, face masks cannot possibly defend against infection. They promote infection. They promote respiratory disease. Oh, very good. This is it. Great. Now, during this research on face masks, I just studied. Okay. There. Too much information, right? There is no such thing as COVID. There is no new disease. There is no novel disease. It has never been isolated in a human being. Some virus has been isolated in a couple of laboratories. So I looked at their research, and here's what I discovered. I discovered that the coronavirus, of which COVID is a member, right, has a length of 72 nanometers, all right? So I did my mathematics, right? 1 billion nanometers in a freaking meter, right? And I went through all that arithmetic, and I discovered this. Okay, nobody's wearing face masks. This is so cool. Okay, the average mesh in a face mask, the average mesh in this face mask is 1.29 millimeters. Now, you do the math. 72 nanometers into 1.29 millimeters means this. A virus, it's easier for a virus to penetrate your face mask than it is for you to be paddling your kayak underneath a bridge that is 12 times longer than the Golden Gate. This is no exaggeration. These are the exact statistics. Look at the video. Okay, this is tragic, heart-rending video. The demographic that we are ignoring most of all, children. And this talks about how children are totally being ignored. Look what we did to our kids. We stole their spring from them. We stole their summer from them. And now in most states, like Vaxifornia, now we're stealing their school. We're stealing their school experience from them. They have these phony online school things. COVIDiots, right? The other thing about kids is the most important thing children are doing is they're developing as freaking human beings. They need, in order to do that, they need contact and interaction with their friends and peers all the time. Now they're sitting at home, doing all this video stuff. So, and that's totally irrespective of the fact that their respiratory system is developing for the first time. Am I right? Okay, so watch this video. Okay, this video is called positive tests are not COVID cases. So please watch the video, but this is the lie that was perpetuated by the brilliant corporate media, which, okay, so remember all those times when the lockdown was about to end and we're getting toward the end of the month? It's like, oh, cool, it's going to end. I knew it wouldn't last. And then suddenly there's a spike in cases. But they don't say it's a spike in positive tests. There's a colossal difference. There's a quantum difference between positive tests and COVID cases. But that was the equivalent across corporate media all over the world. In fact, any positive test, so from any of those 5 bogus tests, right? If you are positive on those tests, then you are counted as a case of COVID. And this is how the governors, the federal, state, and local have been manipulating and still continue to do that, manipulating the statistics to keep your ass locked down at home indefinitely. But I'm not jaded. Can't you read my mind? Okay. Very good. What the hell does that say? Oh yeah, okay, so supposedly here we have COVID as the first permanent disease in history. The first disease since Adam and Eve that can go for 9 months in a population without mutating, without adapting, and the population is not mutating and is not adapting. And the pretense is that COVID is just as virulent and fatal and lethal now as it was in January. That is 100% scientifically, immunologically impossible. Click. Here's why. Shut up, I'm in a rush here. Jesus Christ. Okay, so it's like, why is it false? Because it violates one of the most fundamental principles of science, which is herd immunity. What is herd immunity? Herd immunity is the way that a disease goes through a population. Here's the sequence. Click. Yes, good. First of all, the disease appears. The weak succumb, the strong survive. Now, we have, okay, so here's the disease right here, attacking the population. So the population, they sense this in their collective immunity, and they immediately begin to adapt. They begin to modify. They begin to mutate. Well, the disease senses that mass adaptation, and it begins to change too and to adapt. And so we have these two simultaneously processes of adaptation going on within the two systems, the disease and the population. Well, that keeps going on and on until it becomes dilute eventually. Eventually, they have mutated, they have adapted to each other to the point where neither is a threat to the other. That point is called herd immunity, right? Another name for it is evolution, which is the only way, this is the only way the human race has survived any disease or any epidemic since the time of Adam and Eve. Click. Okay, so your government has created a new disease that is 100% fake. So why do I say that? Because COVID has never been isolated in a human being, only in a few laboratories. So check this out. Click. Yeah, okay. I mean, there's so many proofs that I don't have time for, so you have to watch these videos, right? At, what's the website? It's called .com. Very good. Okay, so here's just one tiny proof that there's no such thing. You know that we've just allotted $9.5 billion for vaccines, right? That's supposed to save us, right? And at the present time, there are 7 vaccines in phase 3 trials, right? Here are a few of them right here. Now here's what I discovered. Every one of these vaccines in phase 3 trials, they're trying to do these weird new inventions called DNA vaccines. But they're not using the COVID DNA. Why? There is no COVID DNA. It's never been sequenced, right? So what they're doing instead is they're using the freaking 10-year-old SARS viral sequence. They just added a new couple letters to the end of the name. Okay, so here's my question. You guys have been trying to invent, to bring forth a SARS vaccine unsuccessfully for 10 years. Why in the world would you think you could be successful now for a completely different disease that has never been proven to exist? Click. Where's my 12 gauge? Okay, let's look at some current figures for a second here. Ready? Okay, supposedly 70 million more than 70 million Americans have been tested by one of these 5 spurious tests. By this time, click, yeah, you got it. 9% of them are supposedly positive, but that doesn't mean that they're sick. No, only less than 1% of that 9% gets sick, okay? And of those that do, they're better in a week. Only 1% of them actually needs treatment. Very good. Now, supposedly, actually, the new figure is 190. Supposedly, 190 Americans have died from COVID by this time. But there's a problem with that. The problem with that is, when you study this, when you watch the video, you're going to learn this, that all these figures that you see on CDC website, that you see on Wikimafia, that you read everywhere in your newspaper, right? They may be off by as much as 90%. I'm going to just give you a couple examples how that works. Click. Very good. Yeah. So every city, every county, and every state is inflating their numbers. Click. Pretending that positive tests are cases. This adds to the inflated numbers which keep you on lockdown in the rush to market COVID. Okay, now check this out. Did you know that in Florida, 300 clinics have tested, 300 clinics have found only positive results for every single person they tested for months. Finally, the CDC discovered it, and the CDC made them do a reevaluation. They investigated and discovered that less than 10% were actually positive. But did they take these numbers away from the national figures of infected people? Of course not. This is just one way. Click. Very good. Also, we have cross reactions with antibody tests. Okay. Now remember those 5 bogus tests that I told you there's only 5 tests for COVID, and one of them was the antibody test. Do you remember that? Okay. Did you know that if you have a recent cold or flu, or you have had a flu vaccine within the past year, you have immunoglobulins in your blood. You have antibodies. Guess what? Since there is no COVID virus ever identified, the COVID antibody test is reactive, is positive for any antibodies from anything. Nobody ever talks about that. Click. Okay, so here's another way. Click. Promoting COVID by death counts. Okay, comorbidity. I got to tell, this is a killer. Let's say, literally. Okay. It is now hospital policy and has been for months that anyone who goes to the hospital or a clinic for any reason at all must be tested for COVID, right? No matter what your pre-existing condition is, if you have cancer, if you have terminal emphysema, if you have, diabetes, if you weigh 400 pounds, it doesn't really matter. And if the test is positive for COVID, your primary diagnosis on all your records, your insurance record and your hospital card is COVID. Right. So why is that? Because that's what we've been selling for the last 9 months, yes. Right? No. Okay. It's the same with the cause of death. Same with the cause of death. Okay, you're in the hospital, right? And you die, okay? Now, you may have had all these other diseases that I just mentioned, but since COVID was on your card, what is the cause of death listed as? COVID, nationally, and that's why those weird statistics, 190 190,000 Americans have died from COVID, completely misrepresentative. Same thing happens in this ridiculous case. Click. We found out that, okay, let's say you die in a car accident. How many motorcyclists in here do we have? It's not a question of if you're going down. Never mind. Okay, but sometimes it's dangerous. So I've been a motorcyclist all my life. I'm just telling you, you're an idiot. Okay. Whatever, who cares? If you die on a freaking motorcycle and they cart you off to the morgue and they test you for COVID in the morgue and it's freaking positive, what is your cause of death on your death certificate, sir? Yes. Same thing with car accidents, the exact same thing with car accidents. Now, I'm not making this up. You can find dozens of references to this fact. So we're talking about inflated numbers at the federal, state, and local levels, and this is what's keeping this perpetuation of this ridiculous house arrest. Click. Hospital policy nationwide. Click. Jesus Christ, multiple tests. Oh yeah. Now, if you're in the hospital, let's say you're in the hospital for a month or something, and they do, during that time, 3 separate COVID tests on you, and all 3 of them are positive. Well, you just counted for 3 persons, 3 cases of COVID, and this is hospital policy nationwide and has been for 6 months. Next. So, oh, this is a killer. Now, a lot of you doctors in the audience, you'll know this one. We all know people like this. Okay, you make an appointment for a COVID test, right? And then something happens and you don't show up. You're a no-show. And then a week later, you get an email that says, congratulations, mister, you are positive for COVID. And you're like, I didn't freaking go. This happens all the time. Thousands and thousands of cases. This is policy because we are selling the COVID epidemic. Click. Okay, so click, one more. Oh yeah, so here's another just tiny little bit of evidence that there is no novel disease there is no novel disease in this country at all. Here's why, because when you really look at the epidemiology, here's what you discover. If there were a brand new epidemic in this country, there would be a ton of new sick people, lots more sick people than we had any previous year. There would be a ton of dead people, more dead people than we've had in any previous year. When you look at the actual statistics of this year by this time in the year and compare them with all other years, it's approximately the same. So my question is, where's the epidemic? Click. Click, please. Right. If you don't remember anything else from this harangue, please remember this. Government cannot cure an epidemic. It can only create one or prolong one. A famous man, JFK, a long time ago said this: the great enemy of the truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived, and dishonest, but the myth, persistent, persuasive, and unrealistic. Click. So that's the degree of censorship that so Bobby will talk about the lawsuit tonight. Next slide. This is your vaccine textbook. Vaccination is not immunization. This is primarily directed toward the young parents who are having their first children. They are confronted with this decision, the most important decision in the life of the child. And where can they get their information? I mean, if you go online anywhere these days and you're just trying to understand a little bit about the ingredients or the science behind vaccines, you are classed as an anti-vaxxer right away. And so it's extremely difficult to find referenced information. This little book of 200 pages has over 300 of the best scientific references regarding vaccines. Okay, so finally, this is my last slide. What does this say? Okay, so here's the home page. I didn't tell you about the latest video, the most current video. It's called Why the Delusion Cannot End. Didn't you ever wonder, why does this keep going on? Remember, for the first few months, we're going, oh, damn, when is this going to end? Hey, we're coming to the end of the month. It'll probably be over now. And then 4th of July weekend was coming, and they had that phony outbreak of 37 states. Remember that? And we're like, shit! Remember that? And it kept on going. Well, today, okay, it's weird talking to civilized people. My mind is, You people are so polite. It's like I'm in Canada or something. It's like I'm in Canada. This is great. But it's not like, Vaxifornia is a very vicious place, okay? But I'm just telling you, but a lot of places are like that. So what was I talking about? Why the delusion? Okay, so. And now the people who have been asking these questions, they're resigned like the sheep they really are. And now they don't even wonder, oh, maybe Donald Trump will bring us a vaccine in a couple months and that will cure everything. But it's like, well, what is going to end it? It's indefinite now. So now we really don't know. So please look at that video. Thank you for your kind attention. You guys are the greatest.